TEDTalk stage is Joe Likens, whose talk is entitled From Monkeys to Memes, a study of the age of information. The speaker intends to prove that the instantaneous transfer of information is the most influential accomplishment of the modern world. Through many micro-examples, the speaker will elaborate on the history of electronic communications and its net effect on our society. The speaker hopes to prove that this ever-progressing technological feat can be used in an ultimately positive way without neglecting the negatives. Please give a big hand to Joe Likens.
Hello. Isn't that a curious way to begin? It wasn't so long ago,
Carry on.
It wasn't so long ago that every communication started with a greeting. Every introduction to a conversation, a letter, or even a voicemail. Hi, how are you? Greetings were customary worldwide up until a 10-second text could take care of 10 minutes of begging your coworker to cover you on a Friday night. Removing the hassle of the introduction with instant messaging instead of tedious face-to-face communication like we're doing right now is part of the reason that most of the population, myself included and younger, has completely changed the way we interact with each other, virtually and in person. This crazy year has definitely accentuated the effect of this phenomenon. I guess we have to back up. But don't worry, I'm not going to send us all the way back to the birth of man or something. Oh wait, I did. And if you'd heard the title, if you read it, you would have known that, slacker. Well, the indicative markings of our evolution from apes stems from 3 specific developments, each one pointing directly at an advance of communication. Language, the capacity for language, art, and complex symbolic expression. The double-sided is wonderful. All right, shall I break these down one by one for you? I won't give you the chance to say no. Language has been our oldest form of outright direct communication. This is before words, remember, but still a distinct difference from the monkeys, and not the ones who wrote that Smash Mouth cover from Shrek. I'll just give you an example of how our language worked and how different it is now from all the way back then. Watch, I'm going to visibly get prepared for this. Okay. Now, you all thought I was going to make monkey sounds, didn't you? You think you know me well enough. Expect the unexpected. If you do think about it, though, I just did exactly what I said I was going to do. I gave you a primal urge of anticipation because you were expecting a moment that was building up to happen that did not. Simply a breath. Now, this might astound you, but monkeys took breaths too, often around 6 times a minute, which is about half of a human's resting breathing pattern. I gave you a monkey emotion, which is why I was able to captivate each and everyone in the audience. At the crux of it, we're all monkeys, and our language and communication stems from that fact as well. Now look at what I just did. I showed you that our modern language can more effectively convey complex ideas to other thinking beings by wrapping you back around to a main idea. I know, I sound like the proudest monkey ever. But this monkey magic is exactly what's going to push our focus all the way back to the present and beyond. Look at me. Look at this. Simply put, this meme is funny. Strangely though, unlike the monkey emotion, this pair of pictures only strikes a select few as humorous right off the bat. And I'll show you the origin of both of these images, and I'm sure that you'll see how they connect if you do not already know.
What would you do if there was a child right in front of you, sitting all alone, crying in pain from hunger, near death from sickness?
Let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up, and come on, who's with me now?
No one's with him. Okay. Now I'm sure you see how those connect. I'm actually going to take the last 2 markings of evolution, art and complex symbolic expression, and group them together because, unlike free-swinging monkeys, I have a time constraint. The meme that is currently on the screen now contains 2 static images. When I put it up on the screen for the first time, a relatively low number of people understood how they relate. Once I introduced the meaning of each, letting those of you who were not in on the joke be in on it, it was fairly easy to understand why I might have chosen these 2 arbitrary pictures to demonstrate my next point. The reason why I said relatively low number of people understood the relation is that if this meme was shared in a different setting, perhaps on a meme page with a large number of viewers, the ratio of comprehension among the audience would be astoundingly high. An explanation for this comes from the interconnectedness of online media in their respective communities. A certain group of people, namely those fortunate enough to be watching television during the early 2010s, were most likely exposed to both the UNICEF commercial and 2012's The Lorax. If per se I was attempting to reach a different audience, I might hum a tune about the 10-letter name of my bologna, or recite the ingredients of a Big Mac. You might be asking yourself, what does this mean? You might be asking me, have I devolved to the point where I'm just asking TED Talk buzzword questions? Now, let me get a show of hands. Who here has seen a TED Talk? Wow, that's surprising. No, really, it is astounding that we have an audience that has all experienced this very unique setting. Now let's try some more. It's a shoulder workout time. Let's get those arms ready. I'm going to put a bunch of pictures up. Who here has seen and can identify this? This. 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 Yeah. This. Now that one is a little bit unfair. This is a picture from our Cape Cod trip, and I will not explain it. The significance of this exercise is that, barring my vacation photo, our audience here, and most likely whomever watches this online, will recognize each and every insignia, icon, iconic photo, famous artwork, or little green midichlorian-rich life form that I just put up on the screen. Albeit very Americentric, the point of each of these images is to represent a different facet of our life. These symbols are each incredibly complex in their connotations and meanings, provoking unique thought process. Throughout our recent history, it was determined that the ability to decipher and understand increasingly complex symbols, or an increased number of said symbols, was a massively desirable trait. I've observed that the development of this trait not only marks a major difference between humans and any other species on Earth, but it also creates a clear juncture between what we see as the modern man and what came before. We just demonstrated exactly how much our global networking influenced this trait because of our technological advancements in both photography and interconnectedness. Even if you have never or will never see a Van Gogh painting in person, you just saw one with your own eyes, and as we proved, not for the first time. I want you to take a moment to just appreciate how much that means. 200 years ago when Starry Night was painted, or 500 years ago when Da Vinci's Mona Lisa was painted, less than a fragment of the population of each respective country were lucky enough to even know about said artworks, yet now they are globally renowned and instantly recognizable. Whether our natural ability to derive meaning from art and symbols from our history makes us cultured is most definitely up to interpretation. A fair share of our generation chooses to neglect the wealth of information that is available to us because with our advancements in instantaneous technology, instantaneous gratification has become a sole motivator. This often wastes time on unimportant, indistinguishable, non-unique activities that have nothing to do with furthering our progress as a human race. As you most likely guessed, I have an example for this as well. Who wants a horoscope? Do we have any Sagittariuses in the room? Cool. You pride yourself as an independent thinker and do not accept other statements without satisfactory proof. Any Gemini? As at times you are extroverted, affable, sociable, at other times you are introverted, wary, and reserved. I could go on, but like I said, this really only wastes time. What this was really, though, was a social experiment. Regardless of star sign, who felt that one or both of those statements could apply to them? I drew these statements from a fake psychology test given to students by Bertram Forer in 1948. The test came back with a staggering 4.3 out of 5 average applicability score, and after much more testing, the discovery was named the Barnum effect. Now I did this for another reason, and not just to prove that astrology is pointless if you're looking for meaningful advice or judgment. I wanted to prove through the Barnum effect, the same way that I did at the beginning of our talk, that we truly are quite similar underneath all our labels and racial cognizance. On that train of thought, everyone here has a relative or an ancestor who wrote a letter to someone, indubitably. I believe that the day that a written letter became obsolete was the beginning of our hyper-increased progression as a species on a global scale. We have been in pursuit of progress since the first not monkeys started sharpening spears. The incredulous advancements in intelligence and technology that led to the telegram and eventually the telephone were driven by industrial revolutions worldwide, as well as the need to increase social ability. What is fascinating is the difference in the length of time between the birth of mankind and the birth of civilization, and the birth of civilization to our modern era. Millions of years to tens of hundreds. Looking at our history objectively is quite fascinating. For the last 2.5 million years, all known life looked at our moon and knew not what to make of it. Within the last 60 years, our species sent an intelligent being to a celestial being on a round trip. Bazinga, right? What could possibly be the explanation for such a massive amelioration in our universal importance and our civilization's intelligence? No answers? Well, humans are social creatures by nature. I haven't shut up and you haven't stopped listening. Isn't that proof enough of that? As we have repeatedly seen throughout history, our combined brain power can redefine the word impossible again and again and again. The greatest innovation of our modern civilization was the small leap from instant communication to the giant step into massive internet cultures sharing 100,000 words per second across 180 countries. One might say that memes, meme communities, and our affinity to share all things humorous or not is era-defining. It has certainly had its impact. Quickly, here are some examples of events that could not have occurred if not for instant communication via videography, photography, and memography. George Floyd's murder would not have inspired the massive response that it did this past summer if not for the video taken of the gruesome act itself. If not for the horrifying photograph of the Hindenburg explosion, the rigid airship or Zeppelin would not have ceased production. Without the incredible spread of the meme community, the Josh fight would not have occurred on April 24th, 2021. I would not have known that date off the top of my head, and the 100 of Joshes that gathered there in Nebraska would never have met otherwise. Our modern civilization is defined by our technology in every way, whether it is used for entertainment, communication, good, evil, or all of the above. What I'd like you to leave this talk with is a greater sense of self. Know your place in the universe, and appreciate just how lucky you are to be living at this incredible point in history. We have come a long way from monkeys to memes. But the pertinence of my next statement is paramount to the key idea of this whole talk. How you use the tools that you are given is what defines your story. Any monkey can just float downstream. Be the monkey that builds a raft so you enjoy the ride a little.